Faster. Bigger and faster. Business executives, pastors, and leaders of nonprofits all want their organizations to have greater size and speed. They need to understand the fundamental principle that drives more rapid growth. It's a principle I discovered a few years ago on a surprising afternoon. I had never been to Panama City, but in January 2013 I was invited to speak at a conference there. With two friends, Maury Davis and J. Don George, I arrived on a flight that landed a day before the first session of the event, so we had plenty of time to see the sights. Maury and Don had been to Panama several times before, and they asked if I wanted them to take me on a personal tour of the Panama Canal. To be honest, I was very excited about seeing something I had heard about my whole life. An hour or so later, we stood in the pleasant midday sun on an observation deck, watching some of the biggest ships on Earth entering and leaving locks whose gates looked like skyscrapers. The hulls of the ships were only a few feet away from each side. I instantly realized this was an engineering marvel, a wonder of the world. I could have stayed and stared at the ships for hours, but Don and Maury had more for me to see. They took me to the museum that told the amazing and complex history of the canal. As I absorbed the way the canal was built, it dawned on me that I was looking at one of the most important leadership principles I'd ever discovered. The size and speed of the ships is completely controlled by the systems and structures created by the engineers and the workmen. I learned that the Panama Canal wasn't just a nice idea. It was an economic necessity. For centuries, explorers, kings, presidents, and business leaders tried to find a way to shorten the trip from the Atlantic to the Pacific. Crossing the narrow isthmus of Central America offered plenty of promises, but it proved to be a daunting challenge. Still, the hardships seemed worth the risks. By that day in January, the cost of taking a cargo ship through the canal was about $500,000 compared to the $3 million it cost to travel around the southern tip of South America and up the other side of the continent. For executives of shipping companies, success is defined clearly and simply, moving cargo economically and quickly from port to port, in this case, from a port on one ocean to a port on another. For more than a century, in every step of the excavation, construction, and operation of the canal, politicians and engineers lived with the creative tension of vision, control, and submission. The leaders tapped into the talents of many different experts, and they used 3 different water features: the oceans, a lake, and a river. Diversity and creativity weren't obstacles, they were necessities. Wherever I go, leaders in churches, nonprofit organizations, and businesses tell me privately, "Sam, something is missing, but I can't put my finger on it. There must be something more." They feel vaguely discouraged their organizations aren't growing bigger and moving faster, but they can't find an adequate solution to their dilemma. And that day, with my 2 friends at the Panama Canal, gave me a dozen fresh insights about leadership. I jotted down a lot of notes as I stood on the observation deck and walked through the museum that afternoon, and I realized more passion isn't the answer, and bigger dreams aren't always the solution. Every leader is asking 2 questions: how can we grow? And how can we grow faster? The only way organizations can grow bigger and move faster is by accelerating the excellence of their systems and structures. As I've shared what I learned at the canal, some people may have wondered, how did he get all these leadership principles from looking at water and concrete? There's an easy answer. When a painter walks into a house, he notices the quality of the paint job in every room. When a mechanic rides in a friend's car, he hears minute sounds that tell him volumes about the car's condition. When a doctor talks to a stranger, she notices details of a person's appearance that may signal undetected health concerns. When a musician listens to a song, she hears vocal notes and tonal qualities of instruments few of us ever notice. And when Sam Chand walks through life, everything relates to leadership, even the latest movie, a casual conversation, or a visit to the Panama Canal. Within 10 minutes of standing on the observation deck and watching the slow and steady movement of ships and locks, the synapses in my brain started